There's one budget though that I believe you might have questions of if you reflect on it later. So I just want to point you in the right direction. If you go to page 57 and you go to facility services, look at what was budgeted, $3,050,000. Look what we spent, $3,527,273. What you can attribute that to is a designated use of fund balance, because that amount is not a budgeted amount. It is a use of your savings account and is not correlated with any current revenue being received by the college. So in other words, it's a planned strategic use of your savings account to fund projects for using your own money and not taking a loan. So actually, we spent less. I mean, it's better. What you're looking at here, it's around $500,000. It looks like we overspent our budget when you actually spent more than $800,000. I think it was $880,000, and that's because in other budgets, they did not spend all of their budget. And so by the time everything was washed together, that would be the net effect at the end of July. If you go to page 58, this is called a natural classification. What we were just looking at was a functional classification. You can look at our salary amounts on the first 5 lines, which are significant. And if you recall, if you look at employee benefits also, it's down just below that. It shows we budgeted $4.5 million, we used 3.4, and we'll use some more. Remember, we were able to recover some funds. I said it was the first year, and it's a very fluid, transient type of line item to budget, because it depends so much on the benefit selection of your new employees or the change during open enrollment from employee only, employee and family, employee and children. And so for those that were picked up the portion of the state that they did during the last year, we had to realize that. That is why that big difference exists. But we talked about that at another time. Are there any questions? I think you're going to come out okay on the budget this year. I mean, for the prior year, 8/31/2012, and you'll put a little bit into fund balance is my prediction.
Don't know how to ask this, but it's a question that arose in the discussion that was being held. And
What page is it?
I'm still on page 57.
And if it's the travel question, is that?
No, it's not a
Okay.
question. It's the one pertaining to counseling and disability services. And so I guess my question is, does this include services provided in the Veterans Affairs program?
I don't believe so. I believe the Veterans Affairs, anything related to that, and Dr. Jones, or if Sandra Guzman is still here, may be able to address that, but I know that they deal with veterans and veteran benefits in financial aid. As far as the disability part, though, maybe both offices are involved. Yours are just awards that you make for them.
Certifying the veteran benefit.
The Hazelwood and all that. Then that would be Michelle Kettler's area, if there were veterans that sought services from that office. But it's the whole operation of their office, their staff and telephone and the whole 9 yards.
I'll
Yeah.
talk to you about it later.
Okay. All right.
But you say that is Hazelwood included, rolled in all under that one category?
No, Hazelwood is in financial aid budget.
Okay, all right, yeah.
That's like the Texas counterpart, I'm sure you know, of the GI Bill. Okay, I'm finished unless there's questions with the financials for July.
I think we have heard quite a bit. Could I hear a motion for approval?
I move to accept the financial report.
Second. Second, Nick. Any further discussion? Seeing and sensing none, I think you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against by nay. That motion carries. Moving on to the investment report. She's already given us the investment report at one 1%? 0.1%, is that correct?
It's for the month of, this is for the month of August, by the way. The bank statement, it's more difficult to get reconciled because of the timing than the investment statement. And if you go to page 60, and you look at the ending balance for August 31, 2012, you had a total of $17,479,714 available to you. You see the bulk of it was in unrestricted fund balance, unrestricted operating account. And on the far right, you can see the annualized interest, and it ranges from 0.132 to 0.135 of 1% on an annual basis. If we continue like this, when we look at the strategy for investments, we may want to look at some other things, like different types of investment that could be fairly secure. But the interest, when it's down, other investment income can go up if you go into other types of investments. That's really about all I have. There's not a lot to talk about. You made around $19,000 to $20,000 in investment income for the year. But we secured and we preserved the principal, so.
Pretty thin margin then.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval of the investment report.
Motion's been made,
Second.
has been seconded. Flynn? Any additional comments, any additional questions? Seeing and sensing none, I think that you're ready to vote. All those in favor of the investment report as reported signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against by nay. That motion carried.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is not a comment about her report, but it really refers to the statement you made about looking at other investment avenues. And we are doing, over at St. George's, we're doing a lot of that, and we're looking at other investment avenues, and we bank with the same bank. I'm wondering if we can ask the administration to proceed at this point to begin to look into other
Alternatives.
investment alternatives.
Okay.
I'm not saying we do it tomorrow, but it's worth our while to begin to take a good look.
Okay. I'd be in agreement with that. I don't think we want to go into a hedge fund anywhere, but I think that you might want to take a look at some other opportunities that give you that same thing. I think that while we're on that subject, as a matter of comment, sometimes to be a little bit self-insured, we might find ourselves in a pretty good stead as well. And that is self-insured in the way of what you have in buildings and windstorm damage and what have you. It takes long enough to get that back when you do have a problem. So thank you very much for that comment. Any other comments? Consideration and possible action on renewal of the TASB unemployment compensation program.
Okay, we have a proposal here to continue with TASB for our unemployment compensation. If you have any questions, Ms. Templer, I think, can respond to that.
I think you find that there's $121,000, did I read that correctly? Is the total cost of that program?
Is that-
Briefly go?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a pool, it's an interlocal agreement, and so they look at the entire pool as to the unemployment benefits that have been accessed during a year. And so they looked at it, and this year, we're going to decrease the amount of our participation amount from $151,466 to $121,173. So even though we may have things going on at our college that we know we could possibly pay unemployment benefits for the 2012, 2013 year, the pool takes the risk. And unless everybody is going in that direction, maybe our increase in that area for 1 year won't impact the pool very much. So this is good news. That's, because we could have unemployment benefits that we pay in excess of this, but this is our participation amount because it's a pool.
Okay. I'll accept a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
Well, second it.
It's been moved, has been seconded by Ms. Matthews.
Make a note, that's a $30,000 reduction also.
Okay. Motion has been made. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and sensing none, I think you're ready to vote. All those in favor of the TASB unemployment pool contribution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against by nay. That motion carries. Consideration of possible action on the Robert Shields Consulting Agreement.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is an issue that the board discussed previously, and that is securing some assistance to increase our staffing in information technology. And I think I'd like to ask Lisa Templer if she would give you an update on the negotiations we've had using this consulting firm, Robert Shields and Associates, and the efforts to get the network engineered.
Last board meeting, as you know, you all approved us getting started if we found somebody with RSA to an amount not to exceed 75,000. So, you know, we worked with RSA and they presented a candidate, and so basically, Chris Adams interviewed the candidate. He came on campus. I talked to him, and Chris was very impressed with him. He went to the computer room, and I'm not sure what shape our network's in because, as you know, a lot of things can happen over time, and people think it's a good idea to put a router somewhere, and it may not be on your schematic drawings. But Chris found this person, Jay Robillard, to be very competent. He got in the computer room. He goes, "That's the router. That's where it comes in." He was tracing wire and going to town. I met him. We feel like he has a wealth of knowledge, and we feel like the amount is right for consulting. It's local. I feel like with this company, we're gonna get a lot of people that want to remain locally, you know, live in the Houston area. And so if you look at the second paragraph, the hourly amount is $76.80. And while that may seem high, a going rate would be $150 an hour. And plus, the travel in here, I'm not seeing that we're paying mileage. He's coming to work and going back. He lives local in Clear Lake. And so he reported to work today because of your approval of the 75,000. And he reported to work at 8:30. So we feel right now VDI project is stalled out. We feel this is gonna be a solution. Yao's promotion, because he competed to the System Admin 1, and your approval of Logical Front, giving us some extra consulting help for 3 weeks, we're gonna get rolling again with that. And so it just took getting staff there. When you don't have any staff, you just sit there. And the wheels were like off the train. And so we feel like we're really getting moving. Hopefully, we're gonna interview on the System Admin 2 maybe this week.
Yes, that's starting this week.
Okay, I don't know if they have scheduled that or working with Tara.
Yes.
If we got a good candidate there, we're like getting back in business. And so, very excited about this. I think, I'm very happy with this agreement. I think it's reasonable for professional services. One caveat, if after the period you decide to open up that position, which I believe that's our intent, and this person applies for the job, it's at the end of this agreement, you're gonna pay 25% of his first year's salary. So they get the recruiting, it's attempt to hire. We actually went with straight professional services, which I really couldn't tell the difference. We're paying a couple dollars more for professional services, not much. Because they kept with temp to hire this person on their payroll and benefits, and so I didn't see much difference.